What is up guys, and welcome back to the channel, and today we are here for another exclusive F1 23 gameplay video, and we're going to be testing out the damage model on this year's F1 23 game. Now first of all, big shout out to EA and Codemasters for allowing me to capture this early gameplay for you guys today, so big ups to them. And pretty much we're going to get straight into it, so we're going to take a good analysis on how all the different parts of the damage will work. In this video we're going to look at front wing, tyres, damage to the side pods, all that good stuff. And a reminder as well, now this is still an early build of the game, so as well as I'm doing this and it might look insane, there's probably a lot more to come on the final release of the game. So the first thing we're going to focus on at the beginning of this video is just fully sending into the first corner and try to cause as much chaos as possible and see what damage we get, which as you can see, just from that collision, was a massive accident, and both our tyres nearly coming off the tether there. I noticed as we hit Lance Stroll. Now, as we headed into the first corner, you can see from this angle, absolute chaos. We're nearly on the back of Lance Stroll's car. Ocon, I believe, got collected in that crash as well. Now, if I show you an overhead view of this crash in slow motion, we can see it here, with both tyres fully coming off, as they should with a collision like that, into both cars. Now, you'll notice as well, the rim's off at the back, which I still think is just an early build of the game, so that'll probably end up being a puncher or something. And I did notice as well, there was a tyre coming off one of the cars, and I believe it was Lance Stroll. You can see to the left of your screen there, Stroll does not have a front left tyre, so we can confirm now that obviously in the past we've had crashes where the tyres will stay on the tether, and in previous F1 games we've had the tyres actually coming off. So for now it does look like we're going to have a mix of that for this year's game. Depending on how big your crash will be, it now looks like the tyre can come off the tether depending on, well, the crashes pretty much. And there's the tyre actually flying over the top of Stroll's car, and we go on board with Stroll now into the first corner, and you can see right as the impact comes, tyres off, tyres into the air, front right tyres off as we hit the wall. We actually hit the side part of the wall there as we were spinning off into the barriers, and as you can see from the photo mode shot that I'm in, you can see I got a bit of hefty side pod damage just from that barrier hit, which is quite good to see. Stroll's got side pod damage as well, as you would expect, just little bits from the side from my front wing colliding into his. Here's another shot as well from the crash that we just had, but I'm going to point something out here. You can see Stroll's tyre coming off and right into the halo of Nico Hülkenberg's Haas. It actually bounces off quite heavily and goes flying right into the barriers over Stroll's car. So it's like a game of ping pong, to be fair, but it was quite good to see. And I was just checking to make sure like maybe the halo had damage on Hülkenberg's car, which unfortunately it didn't, which is obviously quite disappointing to see, but you know, I'm sure we'll work on things like that in the future on F1 games. For all I know, the final model could still have little like side marks from the tyre hitting the halo and stuff, but I just wanted to make sure in case nobody pointed it out, or just little features like that you might not see behind the scenes of the game and people just missing out on it or something like that. But so if the first crash being done here, I'd say it's an improvement compared to F1 2022. Obviously it's not too much different to last year. The damage model is sort of the same, but I have noticed a slight increase of just the way the car reacts when you hit the drivers and the way the tyres come off, or just little bits and pieces like that. So we'll move on to the next one now. The next thing I wanted to check was just little collisions from the back of another car going a little bit slow, just like the scenario here with Valtteri Bottas. Now that wasn't the biggest hit, I have to say, going into the back of another car, and just from that hit alone, you can see the front wing came off and the tyre instantly came off pretty much. It's still on the tether there, but it's bouncing about quite crazily, and eventually it just comes off the tether, and that's the wheel completely off. And I just noticed as well, you can see Lando Norris in the back of the screen going very slow, so I wonder now if the AI can get slower starts. So we might have just figured something out here in this video, even though we're trying to test the damage model, so I can maybe look at that down the line as well. Now another thing in this video which is very important to test is the rear wing damage. Now everybody for years now, we're all hoping for rear wings to come off and just little bits of damage on the wing, and it just does not seem to be happening at all at the moment. And just like again this year, what you've just seen there now, yes, with a little spin to turn one and hit the barriers, and the rear wing is red near enough, but unfortunately there's no damage whatsoever, not like little pieces of the wing off. Like, do you remember that early build in F1 2021 where there was a lot of different parts of the wing which was coming off due to contact with the wall? And then when the game was fully released, it was changed back and there was no damage whatsoever, which was quite disappointing to see. But I would say the contact with the wall there in the second clip which I just showed you was quite interesting, because I mean, yes, I had a backward spin again, but then the rear tyre came off there. Now it was quite a big hit, but in the past F1 games have been known for rear tyres to not come off too much for some reason. Obviously the fronts are quite easy to, but the rear tyres are a lot harder to come off. Obviously this is on simulation damage as well. If any of you guys are wondering, we're not going to just have it on standard and reduced, you know, we'll have to get straight into simulation, the maximum we can get out of this. But I really hope one day we do see crashes where rear wings fully come off from impacts of what we sort of just had in this clip there now. So it's very disappointing to see, but once again a very similar damage model for rear wings and such compared to F122. Now we're going to focus on side pod and floor damage to see if it's any better. Now side pod damage can't really be improved too much compared to what we've had in the past. I mean, yeah, you could have massive dents at the side of the car and like smoke come out and stuff like that, but I just wanted to see if it would be any different to the previous game, because you know you get little bits and pieces of the floor coming off and obviously scrapes on the side pods as you can see here. So we made contact with Bottas. The contact went from yellow to orange, and it was quite quickly it went from yellow to orange actually, so goes to show the slightest bit of contact to the side can be catastrophic pretty much if you're racing someone and that happens. And photo mode now, just to show you from the side, that's the contact from the left hand side of the car, which is where we hit Valtteri Bottas, and hefty damage to the side of the floor and scrapes on the side pod. Not so much on the right side obviously, because we didn't make any contact with Valtteri Bottas' car there. So it looks to be like exactly the same as it has been the last few years, maybe a little bit more actually, but yeah, the floor is looking very good and so is the side pods. Another thing you guys be wanting to ask as well, is it easier to flip the cars on the game? And well, the answer to that is really no. It's not easier, unfortunately. It seems to be that it's still quite difficult to get the car to go upside down in a collision, but I have noticed as well there is certain collisions which causes the cars to lift up at an angle. There's a crash I'm showing you right now where you can see me going off the track and rejoining into the path of the Alfa Romeo, and he lifts up on the barrier nearly as my car collides into his as we both go into the wall, but his car seems to lift up, which is actually very similar to what happened here in 2018 between Brendan Hartley and Lance Stroll. Now obviously we weren't going as quick as them, but it just reminded me of that crash. But yeah, once again, it's very similar to F122. The cars can lift up a lot easier though, I will say, in certain collisions, but to get the cars to fully flip, yeah, it's going to be the same as F122, unfortunately. Another thing I wanted to check for this year's game as well. Now in the past on F122, I don't know if you guys remember this, but you could get slight bit of damage to your front wing without seeing it on like the damage scale up the side when you get told if you've got a damaged front wing, the left end plate or something. But you can actually damage your wing without knowing, with little pieces slightly coming off, and I just wanted to make sure that that was still a thing on this year's game. And as you can see, with what I was doing there, I was running slightly into the back of the car in front, and then with the front wing, you can see here, we've got a lot of damage to the front with scrapes just on the front of the wing, and right at the main part of the front wing, slightly off as well. And if you could look to the left hand side of the wing also, there's a slight bit of damage came off there as well. So it's good to see we've still got that into this year's game. So basically, if you're right up the back of a car and you slightly hit it with the slightest touches, that's probably the damage you're going to get pretty much. Now another thing I really wanted to show you here is I want you to look to the right of your screen, because as well as you can see the rim right now, and obviously that'll be updated with the puncher model in the final game, you notice as well is that when you hit the wall, the tyre wear goes up. So like beforehand in last year's game, because obviously I have to do a lot of this when I do my race recreations, is that when you scrape the tyre along the wall, you give it about 2-3 seconds and the tyre just blows up pretty much. But this time it seems like when you scrape the wall at a certain angle, the tyre wear will go up and then it will stop, and then it might go up again if you hit it. So this could be quite crucial for like league racing and esports and stuff like this. If you're doing a race around Monaco, for example, and you just hit the wall slightly with your rear tyre or your front tyre, just do something similar to what Max Verstappen was doing on his quali lap in Monaco, and the tyre wear might just go up quite a lot more. So you don't want to do that, because that could be quite crucial for your race and the tyre wear on that certain tyre. And for the people wondering as well, I did see a comment in my community post I put out a few days ago asking how the tyre wear looks compared to F122. Now unfortunately at this stage of the game I can't show you that. I did try, and pretty much it does not make a difference at all whatsoever. So I can have my tyre wear at 70-80% and it looks exactly how it did when it started pretty much. So unfortunately I can't show you that. I might do an updated version of this video later down the line if you guys want me to. I just wanted to show you how the damage model is looking currently and what we could expect ahead of this year's F1 23 game. Now my thoughts currently, very good. Obviously it can be improved a lot more compared to what we could get pretty much, so like rear wing damage, so never say never in the future, but I will keep hoping and I will do my best to speak to EA and Codemasters about that, and hopefully they could do something about this in the future, because we all want rear wing damage and it'd be a great addition to the F1 game, which will be great to see. But currently what we've got is, I'd say, pretty good front wing damage. We've got side pod damage, which is similar to what it was last year. The front tyres coming off a lot more after a heavy impact with the tyres or a car. So the damage seems to be a lot more extreme compared to F1 22. So final result would probably be very similar to F1 22, but a lot more extreme, which is my final opinion on that. I want to see what you guys think in the comments as well. And yeah, that's it for my final early F1 23 video. I want to thank EA and Codemasters for allowing me this opportunity to show you guys this early gameplay. I've got exciting content coming up in the next few weeks, guys, for the release of F1 23, so make sure to get subscribed for that. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Have a great day now, and I'll catch you guys next time.